Okay, so we're going to have a look at this mandatory proof, okay, one you have to learn off. So we're trying to prove that cos of a minus b is equal to this thing, and that is in your log tables, okay, here on page 14. Okay, so that's what they're proving. Now this is what they'll give you in the question and ask you to prove it, and you just regurgitate the answer onto the page. Okay, so to start this, you need your unit circle again. Okay, so you're going to draw your unit circle. Okay, you've got 2 points. This one here, I'm actually going to make myself a little bit more room free, okay? This one here is Q. Okay, so to get Q, this angle here is B. So Q is the point cos B sin B. Now you also have another point somewhere else over here, okay, and that's point P. And to get to point P, you have this angle, so follow where my pen goes, this angle here. And that angle there is A. Okay, so the whole angle is A. So that means this point is cos A sin A. Now you're learning this picture off. Okay, now if this angle here is B and this angle here is A, then this angle in between P and Q is A minus B. A is the full thing, and you want to take away from here to here, so this is A minus B. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to find the distance from P to Q using two different methods. Okay, so distance, I could use my distance formula, but also if you think about this as being a triangle and I want to find this distance, it's a unit circle, so that's 1 and that's also 1. Okay, the radius of the circle, if I had drawn my circle nice and neatly, the radius of the circle is 1 and 1. Okay, so if we think about this as a triangle, I have the angle in the middle and these two, I could do cosine rule to find PQ. So I'm going to do distance formula to find PQ, and I'm going to use cosine rule to find PQ. Okay? So
why do you need to do both of them? Will they not give the same answer?
Exactly, they will give the same answer. So what you're going to do with both answers is put them equal to each other, because they should give the same answer. You're finding them two different ways. Yeah. And then what's going to happen is you'll have something like this, one on the left, one on the right, and you'll have proved it. Okay, so this is just a note to yourself. Okay, this, you don't need this as part of your proof. In your proof you just do it, okay, but just write this to yourself. Okay, so we're going to find PQ using the distance formula and the cosine rule, and we'll equate our answers. Okay, put equal our answers. So, start first of all finding PQ using the distance formula. So you're going to call this x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay. So my distance formula is x2 minus x1 to be squared plus y2 minus y1 to be squared. Okay, so there's my distance formula. x2 minus x1 to be squared plus y2 minus y1 to be squared. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to square both sides to get rid of the square root. So pq to be squared is so all I did there is I squared both sides. I squared the pq and I squared the square root, so that disappears. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're going to multiply out your brackets. Okay. So pq to be squared is, now this is something to be squared. That means you can either write it out twice and do first number, second bracket, second number, second bracket, or you can just square it out. So square the first. Product of the two multiplied by 2, so minus 2 cos A cos B. Square the last, minus cos B to be squared is going to be plus cos squared B. Okay, and this bracket here, square the first, sine squared A. Product of the two multiplied by 2 minus 2 sine A sine B. And square the last, minus sine B to be squared is plus sine squared B. Okay? Have you any issues there?
No.
Okay.
So do you always have to draw the circle, and like if you were doing this in an exam?
Yeah, the circle is part of your proof. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now from there, cos squared A plus sine squared A is what? 1. And cos squared B plus sine squared B is 1. Okay, now you can write a little note to yourself if you want that they're 1. Okay, but in your proof, you're just saying 1 plus 1 is 2. And then I have minus 2 cos A cos B, and I have minus 2 sine A sine B. Excuse me. Okay, and with these two, I have that the minus 2 is common. Okay, so PQ to be squared is 2. And then it's minus 2 outside of cos A cos B plus sine A sine B, because I've factorised out the minus 2 from there. So that's my first bit. Okay, I found PQ using the distance formula. Any issues with that?
No. Do you have to write you don't like the proof at the top, the answer, you don't have to write that along like the others do?
I'm not there. No, you don't, because basically I'm only working on one side at the minute. I have to actually get the second side, then I'll put them equal. Okay? Yeah. So it's not like the others. No, this one I'm actually proving it, and I basically have to come up with this formula. Okay? Can I get rid of the board? Okay. So I'm just redrawing the picture. You do not have to, because you already have it on your page. Okay. So we have this. We're going to leave this. Okay. So we're getting rid of that for the minute. Now, I'm just leaving that there so that I can see it. That's at the bottom of my last bit. Number 2, we said we have to find PQ. So PQ, I need to find this using the cosine rule. Okay, so cosine rule is a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2 times bc cos of the angle in between. Okay, so PQ squared equals, okay, that's your a squared, b squared plus c squared, so 1 squared plus 1 squared minus 2 times b times c times cos of the angle in between.
Sorry, Miss, did you say you have to draw out that circle, or
No, you don't.
have to know?
You've that done already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was just for me to do it. Okay, so is everyone okay with the cosine rule? Okay, this is a unit circle, so I know the distance there is 1. So this would be your A here. So PQ squared equals 1 squared plus 1 squared minus 2 times 1 cos of the angle in between. Okay, so that means PQ squared is 1 plus 1, which is 2, minus 2 cos A minus B. Okay, so I've just tidied up there. Now, I have a PQ squared here, and I have a PQ squared here, so that means I can just put my two answers equal. Okay? So I'm going to start with this one because the question has the cos of A minus B on the left and then the other bit on the right. So number 3 is equating them. Okay, so 2 minus 2 cos A minus B equals this. 2 minus 2 cos A cos B plus, sin A sin B. Now, to just rearrange, this 2 can come over here and it will become a minus 2, and then 2 minus 2 cancel. So I have minus 2 cos A minus B equals minus 2 cos A cos B plus sin A sin B. And what could I do to both sides? Or what could I do?
Divide by minus 2.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, you can either bring this one down or you can divide both sides by minus 2. But basically, I'm multiplying by minus 2 on this side and multiplying by minus 2 on this side, so why bother? So what you end up with is cos of A minus B is cos A cos B plus sin A sin B. And that is what they asked me to prove. Okay. Oh, I have a minus. Yeah, no, I'm right. Oh, sorry. I think, let me just check one thing. I think the book has an issue. Can you make sure that I have a plus in the question at the very top?
You have a minus.
Yeah, will you make it a plus? Sorry, it should be a plus. That's, sorry, I read it from the book and it's wrong. But it is a plus. See here, cos of A minus B is cos A cos B plus sin A sin B. Okay, so will you just make the one at the top a plus? So that's how you prove it, okay? You either need to learn it off by heart or you learn your steps. So first step is draw your unit circle, then do distance formula, then do cosine rule, and then equate your two answers. Okay? Now that one is really important because you're going to use it for others, okay? Okay, so can I get rid? Have you any other questions on it? Okay, I'll get rid of the board, so we'll keep going. A little note over here, okay? And it comes from this. Do you remember that from Trig 1? Okay, if I have an angle in here, okay, I'm going to call it B. And if I have an angle in here, that would be minus B. Okay, I'm going up B or I'm going down minus B. Now, A and C are the same here. So what you have is cos of minus B is the same as cos of B. That's something really important, okay? So for example, if you have cos of 50, that's going to be the same as cos of minus 50 because cos in both of these quadrants are plus. Okay, so cos of minus 50 would be the same as cos of 50. In this scenario, we're going to be using B's. So cos of minus B is equal to cos of B. Now that is given to you, so that's not something you need to learn. Okay, cos of minus A equals cos of A. But it's just important to know it, okay, to be able to use it. Now, if I'm talking about sine of minus B, so sine down here is going to be, if I'm talking about sine in this quadrant, what's my answer going to be? A plus or minus?
Minus.
Yeah, a minus, okay? Because all of them positive here, sine positive here, tan positive here, cos positive here. If I'm talking about sine down here, then my answer is going to be a minus. So sine of minus B is the same as minus sine of B. That's also given to you. You don't need to learn it off, okay? Now something you do need to learn off, or at least know, sine of 90 minus A is the same as cos of A. Okay, so for example, if A is 50, sine of 90 take 50, sine of 90 take 50 is 0.64. Okay, 90 take A, so 90 take 50, 0.64. That should be the same as cos of A, cos of 50, 0.64. That's the same for all your trigonometric ratios. Okay, so sine of 90 minus the angle is cos of the angle. You need to learn that because we're going to use it. And same for cos of 90 minus A is equal to sine of A. So we're going to use that now to prove a few more. So a combination of these things. So what number am I on?
8.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
8, I think.
Lovely. Thanks. So, number 8. Okay, so prove that cos of A plus B equals cos of A cos B minus sine A sine B. Now, what we know already, I'm going to write out. Okay, so what I just learnt from the first one, and I proved that, I don't need to prove it again. Okay, so for this part, it's just a tiny little add-on, but I don't need to write out the proof to this for it. Okay, So I'm just writing that out because that's important. So my proof has cos of A minus B, but my question is cos of A plus B. What could I do to that to make it A plus B?
Multiply by minus.
Exactly, yeah. So I have cos of A minus B. That's what I have to work with, okay? But if I want it to be A plus B, I would, instead of the B, I put in minus B. So it's cos of A minus something, okay? Now I want minus by minus gives me the plus. So that's what I've done here. So anywhere I have B in my formula, I'm replacing it with minus B, okay? So cos of A, cos of, instead of B, I now have minus B, and sine of A, sine of minus B. Okay, so all you're doing is you're replacing, I replaced this B with minus B, so I'm going to replace every other B with minus B. Now, come back over here. We said cos of minus B is just cos of B. Okay, so this is cos A, cos B. Okay, cos of minus B is just cos of B. And sine of minus B, we said, is minus sine of B. Okay, so that means I've plus sine A by minus sine B. You could skip that step in your proof. Okay, I just want you to know where it came from. So my final answer, minus comes in front, sine A, sine B. And now I've proved number 8 there. So a little note to yourself if you wanted, for proving cos of A plus B, you're just replacing B with minus B. This is a mandatory proof, girls, so will you put a star on it? One you have to learn off. Okay, not this bit, this is just to help us, but a star, this is one you need to learn off. Here's another really quick one you need to learn off. Okay, prove that cos of 2A equals cos squared A minus sine squared A. Now, what I'm going to use for this is my answer from above. Cos of A plus B Now, how is that going to help me? Instead of cos of 2A, what am I going to write in the brackets? Use this.
A plus A.
Thank you, good job. A plus A. Because A plus A would get me the 2A. So basically, instead of B, I'm replacing it with A. So anywhere I see B here, I'm replacing it with A. So I'll have cos A, because that's been replaced, sine A, sine A. Cos of A by cos of A, cos squared A, sine of A by sine of A, sine squared A. Another one, mandatory, learn it off, put a star next to it, please. Okay,